Hi everyone, my name is Jana Krien. I am the new manager in the business development department here at R Street, and I'm here today with Lisel Petis, our new policy director of our criminal justice policy area. Thanks for speaking with me, Lisel.
Good to see you.
Awesome. So you've stepped into this role at a pretty complex and pivotal time in criminal justice in the landscape. What drew you to this work, and what made this a really good opportunity for you right now?
So my background, I am a former prosecutor. After doing that for several years, I went on to run a nonprofit agency for victims of domestic and sexual violence. Also did 5 years in my local city council during the time when George Floyd was murdered, so dealt with a lot of the policing aftermath. And between those 3 experiences, I could really see how the system could be better. And so came to R Street about 3.5 years ago, started working on policy, mostly in the pretrial area. And then, got a step up about a month ago, which I'm really excited.
Great. We're really excited about you stepping into this role too. You bring a unique background with your former role as a prosecutor to this work. How has that experience shaped the way that you think about public policy, systems change, and your approach to leadership as a whole?
I think one of the unique benefits of R Street on our team is that several of us have actually worked in the system. So when we do our research and we look to see what are the best policies, we also have that practical experience to say, will it actually work? So yes, the studies are good. Yes, it looks like it's going to make a safer and fairer system, but we can actually say that it will work when people actually put it into implementation. So I think that that's a key part that I bring through from the prosecution.
That is huge. Looking to the next 6 to 12 months, what's one initiative or policy effort that feels especially possible to advance, and what gives you confidence in its momentum?
So one that I think is definitely possible to advance, and I'm very excited about considering my background, is these kind of survivor sentencing laws. So we first saw it come out in a couple states, but Oklahoma last year, Georgia this year, where it's really taking the full experience of a survivor of domestic or sexual violence that has now found themselves in the system, and if they've actually, that violence has kind of created them to be in the system, that they can either look at resentencing or mitigation in their sentences. And we've seen great bipartisanship around it, different stakeholders coming to the table together because they see the value in it. So not only has it been successful, and that's probably what gives me the confidence, but I see it continuing to be a trend for next year.
Yeah, that's such important work. In a time of shifting priorities and what feels like heightened urgency across the entire field, what feels like the most important thing to stay focused on, and where do you see the clearest path forward?
So for me, I think what people really need to focus on right now is optimism. A lot of the conferences and conversations I've had have been full of a lot of pessimism. And I think when we sit there and are pessimistic, it's like our options are to give up. And right now it's like that's not what we want. I mean, if we're passionate about really making a better system, we need to continue forward. We are seeing wins across the nation. They may not be the sweeping kind of changes that people maybe once were used to, but they're very common sense solutions, pragmatic options. And so I think if people could continue to have that optimism that we can make a positive change, that's going to help a lot.
So you have a track record of bringing people together across really different perspectives and building genuine trust with folks with different backgrounds. How do you approach that kind of bridge building, and what can we take away and learn from you in that space?
So for me, number one, I think people too often don't want to talk to people who disagree with them. And that's the most important thing you can do, is to go in with curiosity, figure out why people are not happy about something, figure out why they are. One of the things that we do, I think, very well is talk to stakeholders and people who may be skeptical of certain policies, and we figure out why. A lot of times you find that there are things that are valid concerns that we have solutions to, and so it makes better policy at the end. But when people are feeling heard and they're feeling part of the conversation, they're also much more willing to kind of come together on these issues.
Yeah, that's so important. What's one misconception about criminal justice policy or this kind of work more broadly that you often find yourself wanting to correct?
So the word reform in the criminal justice space has kind of become this bad word. People think reform and they think letting violent people out of jails, and that is the biggest misconception to me. The vast majority of people in the system are actually there for low-level offenses. And so when we're talking about reforms, often we're talking about also creating a safer system. We're talking about reducing recidivism. We're talking about making sure that low-level people get out, but that violent people may be staying in. And so to me, I think people should really be understanding that the words can coexist, that both reform and safety oftentimes can be seen together.
Awesome. We're going to go through a few quick rapid-fire lightning round questions here. So what is the first thing you read every morning?
I read the Morning Brew. It's easily digestible news for the morning with a little bit of humor flair, which is very our street styles too.
What is one book you think everyone working in policy should read right now?
Think Again by Jana Krien.
Where is the most surprising place you've ever had a policy breakthrough?
It's not really surprising, but it's where all my breakthroughs come from, and that'd be when I'm out running.
What do you consider your policy superpower?
To understand where other people are coming from, even when we may not agree.
What is one political or policy buzzword you wish would just disappear?
I think it's when people say to throw the baby out with the bathwater. It's just a horrible phrase.
What is your favorite weekend activity or way to unwind after work?
That would either be reading or hanging out with my family.
Great. Well, thank you so much for speaking with me today, Lisel, and so great to have you on the team.